Hi, Alicia. I was going to send you an email, but it took me a week to get back to you anyway, so I figured I would send you a video. So, we were talking about mice. I was talking about mice. You were not. I apologize. We were talking about time travel as it relates to scientific endeavor. Time travel involves traveling on lines not unlike this one. Let's suppose that this one, for the sake of argument, is T0. This is our prime universe. Now, the particular version of our story that I want to pursue, because it seems like the most interesting one, for the purpose of studying science and the implications of time travel on scientific inquiry, the one I want to explore is one where universes diverge when you go back in time. I don't necessarily want to deal with the future. The future's a little complicated. The past, I think, can be dealt with intelligently, though. So suppose we have our continuum. This is our universe with all of our decisions, discounting free will, because it doesn't exist anyway. Stop being a kid. We have T0, or T0, as physicists tend to call it. When we build a time machine, in the particular universe that I'm thinking of, let's suppose that the time machine is powered on here. This is T0, 0. This is the inception in universe 0 in the prime timeline of the time machine. Suppose we get into the time machine here in that timeline. This is T0, F. I picked F arbitrarily, sort of. I probably know why I picked F. I don't know why I picked F. Anyway, this is F units of time in the future from when the time machine was initially activated. In the version that I'm thinking of, you get in the time machine here, and you can traverse any point in this continuum with the time machine up to the point where it's built. This solves a large number of mechanical questions that have to do with space as it relates to moving backwards in a time machine. The Earth is revolving around the sun, which is in a galaxy that's, you don't have to deal with any of that nonsense if you believe in this particular idea where the time machine only exists within the purview of when it was activated, which gives it an origin and cleans up a whole lot of the mess. I think this is the way to go. Because what it does is allows you to go back to, let's say, back to its inception and step on out. And at this point, the timeline deflects like this, and suddenly we have T1. This is the instance that we got out of the time machine and started impacting what was going on around us. Now, the time machine will sit and chug and allow us to be in this particular timeline. I don't know if it lets us step out. We can worry about that later. But essentially, it allows us to go to this alternate timeline. This line could have shown up anywhere. I just picked T0 for simplicity. It shows up at the very beginning. And we can ride this through and change this however we want, independent of T0. Because the time machine has the ability, being a static, physical, spatial entity, of returning to any point in T0 between 00 and the time we left, because it has memory of those particular points in that one timeline. That seems like a simple enough idea that it can be toyed with, because what it allows you to do is change this however you want, observe, and then at any point, let's say T0F, if you wanted to know exactly what happened at time point F, I guess this isn't T0F, T1F, and you wanted to know what happened based on a permutation you made, I don't know, here, you can record that, and then you can jump from here back to the present and record that. And then you can do it again. You can come back over here, and you can go to T2. And you can go to T2, F, and repeat. Now, this is a general problem with time travel. But since we're talking about science and we're being boring and pedantic about it, I think there's a tremendous moral implication to this that hasn't been addressed by public at large. Is it okay, in the interest of this prime timeline, to be messing with other people's timelines? Is the value of a human or animal, etc., life in a timeline that doesn't exist for the purpose of the other timelines, or even more specifically for the prime timeline? Do any of the people or the events that occur in any of these matter? And if they do, is there absolutely any way to justify turning that thing on? I'm going to say yes, just because it would be cool enough that we wouldn't care, the same way that we do virtually all other forms of testing where we don't care about those kinds of things. And for the most part, this would probably stay in government laboratories and no one would tell anybody about it anyway for a long time. It would be another MK Ultra for 30 years. If that's even possible. I guess maybe that's not possible anymore. The NSA may have killed that. Regardless, this is food for thought. I sent a bunch of rambling text to go with this, but this is the scenario I think we should cogitate. I think this has the most promise for leaving science in the equation without this just turning into a modeling system where you have a machine that can voyeur any number of TX universes. It can just see into any of these and you don't have to specifically observe it. If it can just permute T00 into whatever it wants and then bring all that data together, that's a fun little trippy experiment, but it gets really boring after you solve the initial complexities because it has a system like that's basically just a perfect simulation. And again, that's an interesting sci-fi story, but I don't think it ties into science. I think in some way a model that perfectly permutes on the real world ends science because it becomes a way to confirm precisely what you want to know. All you do is plug in what you want to know and it comes out the other side. I think that kind of foils, that works against the premise that you're working on. I think we should start with this. Of the scenarios that you suggested, this is a slight permutation to one that you already brought up. And again, I apologize for waiting a week to do this, but I was sleeping. And I'm very tired now all of a sudden. So yeah, tell me what you think. Or any of the other 6 people that are straggling that email. If you happen to have any comments on this, feel free to add something.